chicken last Monday. He's singing your songs and making lots of money. And I got him signed to a 10-year recording contract. Now, friends, if you see me walking down the street, remember what you see ain't necessarily me. And if I try to hold you up, don't pay me no mind. But when you got $10 that you can blow, you ought to catch that Johnny Chicken show. He's doing fairs and concert dates all up and down the line. I said, stick 'em up, everybody, I'm robbing this place. Drop all of your money in my guitar case. Don't nobody move and don't nobody reach for that door. A lady said, why, you're Johnny Cash. I said, no, ma'am, I'm the Manhattan Flash, and I am the best bank robber in New York. Well, I don't pay any income tax. You don't pay tax on money you steal. You ought to catch that Johnny Chicken show. Chicken in black.
Chicken shows. Jiggle, jiggle. My money don't jiggle, jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle, wiggle, for sure. It makes me want to dribble, dribble. You know, riding in my fear. You really have to see it. 6'2" in a compact, no slack. But luckily the seats go back. I got a knack to relax in my mind, sipping some red wine. Shepherd's Bush, compact push, Notting Hill Gate, my Fiat skate with a crate of Cabernet, but not today, because I gotta drive, I wanna stay alive, not cause it's illicit, do I have to get explicit, as a matter of fact, I sip on the yacht with Pig and Reese, 200 diamonds in their piece, I'm trying to get mine, so I can shine, jiggle, jiggle, I like to see you, wiggle, wiggle, jiggle, jiggle, I like to see you, wiggle, wiggle. My money don't jiggle, jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle, wiggle, for sure. It makes me want to dribble, dribble. You know, riding in my Fiat. You really have to see it. 6'2" in a compact, no slack. But luckily the seats go back. I got a knack to relax in my mind, sipping some red wine. I think that went really well, don't you? I enjoyed it. Nice being in the booth. So, unless you have anything else, that's a wrap. My money don't jiggle, jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle, wiggle, for sure. It makes me want to dribble, dribble. You know, riding in my fear. You really have to see it. 6'2" in a compact, no slack. And luckily the seats go back. I got a knack to relax in my mind, sipping some red wine, sipping like mine, sipping like mine, sipping like sipping like mine, in my sipping mine, sipping red. Red, dribble, compact, beats compact and back, compact, beats, 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 back, beats, compact and two beats, compact and beats, compact and beats, compact and beats, compact and slack. And luckily the seats go back.
Get on the woof. I ain't never seen a who gun get on the woof. I ain't never seen a who gun get on the woof. I ain't never seen a who gun get on the woof. Hogan ain't seen on the woof. Let me see a who gun get on the woof. I ain't never seen a who gun get on the woof. I ain't never seen a who gun get on the woof. Hogan ain't get on the woof. I ain't never seen a who gun get on the woof. I ain't never seen a who gun get on the woof. I ain't never seen a who gun get on the woof. I ain't never seen a who gun get on the woof. Let me see a who gun get on the woof. I ain't never seen a Mac Albert watching no beat. Piggyback, get on the roof. Brian, Albert, get on the roof. Meatball, Marcus, ain't get on the roof. Let me see an old judge, get on the roof. I ain't never seen Jim McKay spit out a tooth. Paula Keith ain't climbing on the roof. He's in the bathroom trying to booth. How you do it like a selfie? Damn, he got no shame, truth. Climbing on the roof. I ain't never seen Coffin Depper get on the roof. I ain't never seen Grant Tellis get on the roof. Oh shit, Auntie Bay, get on the roof. Oh shit, Higgins, get on the roof. I ain't never seen Colin get on the roof. I ain't never seen Tristan get on the roof. None of those cops telling the truth.
Everybody, please bow your head in this morning's prayer.
Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight for all your blessings. You said in all things give thanks. So we want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. And most of all, we thank you for Roush and Yates partnering to give us the power that we see before us tonight. Thank you for GM Performance Technology and the RO7 engines. Thank you for Sunoco Racing Fuel and Goodyear tires that bring performance and power to the track. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. My two children, Eli and Emma, or as we like to call them, the little E's. Lord, I pray you bless the drivers and use them tonight. May they put on a performance worthy of this great track. In Jesus' name, boogity, 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 amen.
You were flirting with my
Aggie, I'm not
sister.
doing this. What?
No, you were flirting with my sister.
I was flirting with your sister.
Yes, you were flirting with my sister.
What? Get over here. Get over here. Fuck you. Aggie.
Good morning, everyone. Were you flirting with a sister? How are you guys doing today? Listen, I'm trying to be as quiet as possible because Hugin is asleep. He's on the couch. I don't want to wake him up. He needs a good nap because he's about to go party with a husky and see his peepaw, who is 92 years old. 92 years old and doesn't have fingerprints. If you've been on the channel long enough, you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Peepaw Robert. So we have to get through this episode a little quicker than normal. It's not going to be a 2 or 3 hour one, but it is an important one because there's a lot going on here in Austin. And I'm sure you've probably seen some of the news. If you haven't, something really wild happened last weekend, but we will get to that shortly first. Got some house cleaning to do. Okay. And no, we cannot see Lisa, Stephen. We're not going to look at his smoking hot wife. Not today. We'll do it next time. I'll do the OSINT and we'll find out how smoking hot she is. I'll write that down. Also, good morning, Ernie. Good morning. Yes, no, Haynes, I can see you guys, but all your names are flipped. So yours now says Flaming Joyride. And thank you very much, Haynes. I do the braid when my hair is not cooperating. It's very wet and moist here. We've been having some rainy weather and it's also 50 degrees. So it's very cold. Okay. Here's the house cleaning. First of all, we're going to be doing more members only lives on top of the lives we already do because I realize I've not kept up with my quota and I need to get on that. So that's going to be happening soon. And in those lives, we're going to be doing some really cool stuff. I'm thinking we're going to be focusing on NamUs identifications, trying to like go through and kind of more of the sleuthing type of stuff. So we're going to go look back at Frosty Austin and do kind of like a group think sort of situation. And we're going to actually explore more in depth some of the past cases that we've done. And the members only, I think it's like 99 cents and up. So anybody can do that if you just have like the basic smallest member level. So we're going to be doing more of those. Another thing, I have made a purchase. Also cold in Georgia. Climate change is real, Donna. It's very fucking cold in Texas right now. I'm not used to it. I did a thing. I did a thing on eBay because I've never seen one of these up on eBay before under $300, and I certainly haven't seen this particular one in a long time. And I think you guys are going to like it. This is one of the things that we're going to be doing on a members only. And then I'm going to move it to the main so everyone can see it probably like a week after we do it. But Dad bought something. This is, I consider it my Christmas gift to myself. You see that? That's right. I was able to secure on eBay through a, what do you call it? A friggin' auction. I don't know if he gets. God damn it! I gotta do this. It's the apology line easing from back in the day from Mr. Apology. And this one came out in the summer of 1994. And I own a hard copy now. And they're very rare. And I'm very excited. It's very invisible, isn't it? Damn it. The Apology Line National Confessional Magazine. And it includes lots of different printed out apologies. So very excited to have this. And we are going to be going through it together. And I think that is going to be one of the things that we do on the members only. Now, if you don't know what that magazine is, when we were talking about Henry Bedard Jr., and we were talking about the apology line and listening to it, it's all the found like call-ins and stuff from the 80s and 90s where you could call in and you could apologize for anything just anonymously. And I thought it was really cool. And we did a couple of episodes on it that turned into this big investigation. And it's just really cool because there's these rare e-zines and cassette tapes out there that people self-recorded stuff from the apology line. It's like a party line, but instead of a thanks, it's like, I'm going to admit to something I did. If you're into like post secrets and stuff nowadays, that would kind of be the equivalent. It also, like, he was kind of the original Stern in a sense of people just calling him Mr. Apology, calling in and, telling their secrets. But the spooky ones are the ones with like murders and stuff that call in and admit to that. And he did have a serial killer call in for a while. So that was pretty crazy. So I ordered the magazine, and so far I have skimmed through it and read a couple of things in it. And oh my God, I'm so thrilled. And I think you guys are going to be very interested. Also, thank you very much, Reggie Ray. Let me look at what it is. Hold on. It is Maybelline Superstay. And the color is Insider. Ooh. And it does super stay. It stays like pretty much too long, sometimes 48 hours, which is fantastic. So that's what we got on the docket today, okay? That's all the house cleaning we really have. Now, Taylor Business went back into court and threw some tood. So we are going to briefly look at that today. There's a couple of wild and crazy and silly news stories I'm going to play for you. And then we're going to get to the main subject matter, which is a young lady named Brianna Aguilera, who is a Texas A&M Aggie cheerleader about to graduate in a year. She's 19 years old, and last weekend she came to Austin, Texas to tailgate for the UT Aggie football game, which is pretty much like Auburn and Bama. Is that the rivals down there? So it's kind of a big deal. Everyone takes it really seriously. It's like, I mean, I know OU is a big rival. That's another one they take real seriously. Like, it's kind of like in hockey where people would like tear up a city or get in fights, or like anytime Philadelphia loses or wins. That's kind of what it's like here for any game that has to do with the Aggies or OU. Why is that important? Because Texas A&M and the Aggies have had such like a long, or like Clemson and USC. That's a good one. They've had such a long-standing rivalry that for something like 30 or 40 years, there's been crazy street jokes about it. Like literally an Aggie and a Longhorn walk into a bar type of shit. Like when I was in middle school, people were telling each other Longhorn and Aggie jokes. Like it's almost like Texas has its own realm of street jokes. And when I lived in West Campus where this stuff happened, a lot of crazy shit was happening. Like there's always something crazy going on, something disturbing. Pretty much at least every year there's some kind of wild ass murder. But it is a generally safe place. It's where all the students live. And this cheerleader, being an Aggie, I found that a little odd that she would kind of, I guess, I always say, like, if you're an Aggie, you're just not safe in West Campus. Just like if you were a UT fan walking around in a UT shirt in Bryan College Station, where the Aggies are, Texas A&M. Like it's just like people are gonna give you shit. Now, are they gonna kill you? No, I don't think so. But there have definitely been massive fights that have broken out between the two and situations that were dangerous. And it's just not like a safe place in general, I think, to be intermingling when everybody's drunk, Aggies and Longhorns, because there is always a fight. However, again, would you expect a murder? No, not at all. Not at all. But I was pretty surprised to find out like this happened in the heart of West Campus and a girl fell 17 stories from a high rise. And then it was reported that she jumped. And in next door, the local UT Austin Reddit subs, everywhere on the internet where people who live at UT can talk about it, people have been talking about it. I know a couple of people who live in West Campus who've talked to me about it, and the stories are kind of all mixed up, but I was not sure whether or not this was safe to cover. And by safe, I mean like we don't want to harm, a person's like we don't want to like spread conspiracies or harm a case or in any way like offend anybody when we're talking about especially a young girl like this getting murdered, but falling or potentially suiciding. Like we didn't know the circumstance at first, and then when we did, it was kind of wild to see the response from police, from people who were there, and from her parents, because all of them kind of differ. And I just think it's kind of important to cover because a lot of people are putting out misinformation already. And luckily, because I literally live super close to it, I'm able to talk to some people who were down there, as well as some people who work with law enforcement and see what's going on and try to maybe, I don't know, clear up or just kind of lay it out as it stands right now in a way that makes sense, but doesn't call into question anything definitive. However, her family does not think the police are handling it correctly, and I'm kind of inclined to believe it with them or believe what they're saying with regards to the investigation should not be over, and it feels a bit soon for the call that they made, which was that she jumped, and I say it like this because and that it was potentially suicide. So we're going to look over the circumstances of that, and I'm going to show you some stuff on that. But first, let's look at some decompression news, okay? We're going to look at some kind of goofy news stories because they're funny. And I don't want to start out on a critically sad note, but at the same time, we're going to ease into this news because it's a lot. The stuff that's been going around about this case is really just intense. So let's go ahead and take a look at this first, okay? A 500-pound bear decided to live in a narrow crawl space underneath a home, and that is news somewhere else, and I think it's kind of silly, and I want to see how this bear got stuck. So let's take a look at it together.
Happening now in Altadena, incredible video here. You're looking at a large bear somehow squeezing itself into and out of a tiny crawl space under a home.
This is me trying to get in and out of my jeans. Hello, Biggie Fishy. Nice to see you. Check this out.
A homeowner facing a serious problem today, saying the stubborn animal won't leave. Eyewitness News reporter Josh Haskell live in Altadena with more on the video and what is being done today, Josh.
And Mark, the bear right now is underneath that home behind.
Maybe you should get out of the fucking yard. The bear's right behind you. Also, I feel like this is a squatter's rights situation, and I never know what to do in those. What do you suggest?
How do I know that? Well, throughout the day, we've had looky-loos, all sorts of people come by here trying to get close, and that is when, from our vantage point here, we've heard a loud roar. That's when those folks have been running right back towards us. Crawl spaces under homes can be tight, even for a bear. But this now famous Altadena bear has made the narrow space under.
You know, it's interesting. That bear has a tag on its ear. So they're tracking the bear. And I wonder if city or county officials have noticed it is in a house. That's pretty crazy that no one's come to get it since it's in a house. Yeah, this is way worse than spiders. And because it's tagged, I don't think you can do anything to it. It's just kind of there. Imagine you're watching like The Big Bang Theory or some shit like that, and then a bear growl happens. You just piss your pants. Like this, I would go crazy if there was a bear in my house. Also, hello, Sunflower. Nice to see you. Big Boy on the dude, you missed it. We just played Hoogan on the Roof, but Big Boy on in the crawl space is good. I'm gonna start that. Big Boy in the crawl space. I'm gonna think on that. That's pretty good.
Ken Johnson's home, a den for the winter.
I think the longer he's there, the more comfortable he's going to be, and this won't end.
The bear is famous in this neighborhood along Altadena Drive below the San Gabriel Mountains because it's been spotted almost every week for over 6 months.
Oh, God. Not only is it a bear, but it's a famous bear? Shit. So this bear has good lawyers. This bear has a lot of money.
Some residents believe the Eden fire destroyed its home, which is why it now roams their neighborhood looking for shelter and food.
Our neighbors had a bear, and I hear now there's one across.
This makes me so sad, too. Like, this poor bear, his home's gone, so he's just trying to, like, do a little squatty. Just let him in there, dude. He seems sweet. He seems like a nice guy.
The street, and it's in the mountains, and we burned, so they had to go somewhere. They had no place to live.
Hold on, you did it? We burned. I think we found out who started the fires.
Where are they going to go? And nice dark basements, perfect place.
But the size of this particular bear who is tagged concerns Johnson, who is working on a plan to draw the bear out of the crawl space, then block the entrance with sandbags.
It's terrible.
Have you thought of honey? Have you thought of giving the bear a pot of honey?
Terrifying. I have to stop
Or dressing up like Piglet.
shaking when I, moments ago. I'm starting to get used to it, but it sounds like a dragon.
It's coming around, and I think it's just a matter of time something's going to happen. If they're that.
What do you think? The bear's going to break in and take your PS5? Also, I feel kind of bad for Ken. He's like, I'm getting used to it. Sir, I'm sad for you that you have to get used to a giant bear in your home. Yeah, I feel like they could write it off on their taxes. They could say that they have to feed it. Yeah, don't bother me. I won't bother you. It's like, imagine a person did that though. Like a big fat guy just like went into your den and started snoring constantly. Dragon Bear Z is very funny. I like that. I really like that. You guys are coming up with good ones today.
Bold to get into under the house, and I've talked to people up the street, and they've had the same thing. The bear has torn the door out, and they go in there.
Johnson has reached out to the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, who says that they're aware of the situation and will determine the next steps, which could include capturing the bear and transporting it back up to the mountains.
Keep your distance as much as you can. Make sure that you're giving the bear enough space to escape. That's a huge element. Bears don't want to be around us any more than we want to be around them. And if they feel like they're cornered, that could be a problem. But if they see an escape route, they're going to take it. And then you also just want to make sure that you're being loud, making yourself big, waving your hands.
I mean, it's kind of hard to make yourself big when the bear is 500 pounds, but okay.
Around and slowly backing away.
And Fish and Wildlife also says that securing crawl spaces, especially during this time of year, during the colder months, is extremely important.
Oh, that's right, because it's about to be hibernation season, isn't it? Oh, no. So once the bear gets down there, if he decides to hibernate, they're just fucked. How long do bears hibernate for? I'm going to look this up.
Altadena, Josh Haskell, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Picture this. You're driving down the freeway.
Okay, now this is just wild. I've not watched this yet. I saw the thumbnail. I want to wait for you guys. An elk is rescued from an icy pond in a big, gay, dramatic helicopter operation. Why is it dramatic? Did the bear start doing Shakespeare? What happens?
Look out your window and you see this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did the elk? I'm still stuck on bear. Let me move forward to elk. Okay, I'm there.
Trapped in this frozen pond. And what started out as a pretty grim scene quickly turned into an incredible rescue mission, one that a local photographer tells me she was lucky enough to capture every minute of.
There's a split second there where it's kind of cool where you see all four of them.
Beth moved.
Okay, I have answers. So it seems that bears can hibernate anywhere from a couple of weeks to 8 months. That's a long time. If it was like a 6-week bear, I could get it, but an 8-month bear is insane. It's not fair. They have to do something.
Is a retired physical therapist. In her free time, she's picked up photography as a hobby. Can you tell me what camera this is?
So I shoot the Sony A1. It's a 4.
Jesus Christ. That camera's bigger than the fucking bear. Ma'am.
100mm lens with a 1.4 converter on it.
Okay, maybe a little more than a hobby.
This woman is talking about her camera the way my dad talks about his guns.
Beth tells me she's always felt drawn to wildlife photography, which is why on Sunday, when her husband called,
he had just driven past on the freeway and seen these elk in the pond there. And so my husband called me and I scooped up my gear right away.
Beth hopped in her car, heading straight from her home in Bozeman to this pond in Manhattan. When she arrived, a number of local law enforcement, as well as a Fish, Wildlife, and Parks game warden, were already on scene.
He flagged me on to drive through, and I stopped and I asked him if I might be able to hop out and take a couple photographs,
capturing these incredible photos. But that's not where this rescue story begins.
Around 9:30 yesterday morning, there was a report of 4 bull elk that had broken through the ice.
I spoke to Fish, Wildlife, and Parks earlier on Monday. FWP informed me these bull elk fell into about 4 feet of water, the ice frozen around them, trapping them in. Because the ice was so thin, no one was able to walk out to the elk. But several other tactics were used by FWP's game warden, such as
he went and purchased a bunch of ice melt and was able to sort of create a path for the elk to get out.
Followed by hazing the elk using rubber bullets to encourage them to move. But nothing was working. That was...
Wait, hazing the elks? Hazing? Did they put blindfolds on them and then make them step on Legos? Did they berate them and call them names and yell at them to pledge? What do they mean hazing these elk? Who's hazy? Stop bullying them. Get them out of the water. How about that?
Until a spectator, who also happened to be a pilot for Central Copters, offered his services.
They got in very close. I maybe estimated.
Yo, that copter is so wobbly. If I were that elk, I'd be like, nope, fuck that. Never mind. I'll just climb out. I think that's what they're trying to do.
15 yards. I guess it's closer than that.
That's about the time Beth arrived. With her massive camera, she was able to capture these stunning photos and videos of the elk being directed.
You know, that's a good point. It would be cool if we could combine the news stories. If we could get Billy with the chainsaw out there, the cop with the lasso, I bet they could get these elk out. I think that's a good idea.
By a helicopter and making it back to shore.
And so I did kind of get a shot of the elk coming through, but apparently they had to jump one fence on the shoreline, which the officer was surprised they were able to do.
After jumping another fence into this field, the elk were free from the icy waters and free to roam. FWP tells me they haven't seen the elk since the rescue, a rescue that Beth says she'll forever be grateful for.
Yeah, that camera's fucking huge. That camera's bigger than the bear. It's bigger than the copter. This woman is strapped, dude. I'm scared of her. She might take a picture of me.
To see them rescued was just, it was a unique experience. And I just thought, I'm going to probably have some pretty good photos. I'll try to get them out there.
In Manhattan, Cassidy.
So far, I haven't seen any pictures of them getting rescued, but I have seen a lot of that helicopter just completely out of fucking control.
Powers, MTN News.
All right.
This case that terrorized the Pacific Northwest.
Okay, now this is just crazy. Green River Killer, Gary Ridgway, totally thought he was dead. I don't know why. I think I heard a radio lab and just assumed he was dead. Nope, motherfucker's still alive. Can you believe it? Anyway, he's getting end-of-life care, apparently. So I guess he's on his way out. Which, good. Fuck him.
West for decades. In the 80s and 90s, dozens of women and girls were murdered in our area by that man, the serial killer Gary Ridgway, better known as the Green River Killer. Tonight, Fox 13's Alejandro Guzman spoke to Dave Reichert, the lead detective on the case, about rumors regarding Ridgway's deteriorating health.
I'm here with Dave Reichert, the man who was face to face more than anyone with Gary Ridgway. And I think the question I have for you today is, what do we know about his health?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've heard for the past year that he's been in failing health, very ill. I have seen photos of him in a wheelchair. He looks pretty frail from the photographs. But this week's activity has kind of picked up a little bit, and there's some rumors that I've heard that he is close to death.
Now, if you don't know, a couple of things about Gary Ridgway. So first, he was the guy who was kind of, let's just say, between him and Ted Bundy, the Pacific Northwest was pretty bad off. 70s, 80s. This fella used to pick up prostitutes and kill them in really disturbing ways, and he would often leave their bodies in or around, I believe it was blackberry bramble, like bushes, and along the Green River. In fact, when I went to Seattle, Washington, there was a tour going on, and this was in 2007. This was the first time I went. And there's a tour going on, and it was the Green River tour, where because he wasn't caught until much later, so he had a good amount of time to do this, and he killed a lot of women, like a lot, like they believe more than 40 for sure. So they had a tour in 2007 called the Green River Tour, and it wasn't like to show you all the spots where bodies were found or to show you Gary Ridgway's. It wasn't that kind of tour. It was a bone hunting tour. So they would take you down to the river and give you like a sifter, almost like you're sifting for gold, like a prospector. And they would basically let people like show them areas where like this could be where he dumped a body, and then people would sift for bones. And I didn't want to pay for it, so I just followed them and brought my own equipment. Didn't find any, but it was kind of a weird concept, and I kind of got obsessed with that case for a while because there were so many more victims that they believe even to this day could still be his responsibility, you know? And one of the things about him that I always found to be the weirdest was like, first of all, he met his wife at like a honky tonk kind of country western type of bar. And she was like, he's the sweetest. He swept me off my feet. He was such a good man. Like, she was totally shocked when the FBI showed up at her house. But also he was like a mechanic who worked on trucks and stuff. And one time, one of the victims, I believe she bit him or cut him. She like injured his arm somehow. And this crazy motherfucker did a Fight Club. Do you remember the scene in Fight Club when Brad Pitt pours acid on himself? Hello, sweet and sassy. Nice to see you. Do you remember that scene though? He does it to like see how strong he is, if he can handle pain, if he can feel it. It's supposed to be some sort of like masculinity test. Like, don't be a pussy, let the acid rot your arm. And it's like for making soap and lye and shit. They had all this acid. I don't know. Anyway, he did that. He took some acid, poured it on a wound given to him by a victim to mangle his arm, and then blamed it on a burn from the truck while he was working on it. So he was so like obsessed with just killing people and tried so hard to get away with it that even after an interview with the FBI, he kept doing it. Because they did do one interview with him, then he married his wife, and then they revisited a few times. But yeah, this motherfucker, he was so hell-bent on destroying evidence, even if it was evidence of like a woman fighting back against him. Like, instead of putting a Band-Aid over it or making some shit up, he poured acid on his arm and was just like, yep, got burned by the truck. And it was a pretty brutal thing to do. Like, that's super fucking painful, but that's how crazy this guy was. And when he was doing his interviews, there's a fantastic Radio Lab where they talk about the interviews with Gary Ridgway, and they show them on you can watch them all on YouTube. They're pretty wild because he would do this shit where he'd close his eyes and like fake cry and kind of try to revert back to almost childhood. And I think it was pretend, like just like pretend to have a dissociative disorder, and it was really wild acting. And he's just completely nuts. I always thought he kind of had the ego or the gall, if you will, of BTK, in my opinion. But he also wanted desperately to be as smart as like an Edmund Kemper, and he just wasn't. So, and by smart, I mean like IQ points, not like good life decisions, because none of these motherfuckers made good life decisions. But Gary was a weirdo, dude. He was a real weird cat. Let's keep going.
How do you feel knowing, or what goes through your mind knowing that Ridgway is so close to the end of his life?
When I heard this, that he was close to death, my thoughts go back to the families. And
yes,
here's a human being who was stalking, prowling our community, kidnapping, raping, and killing little girls, teenagers, and young women for years, and traumatized so many families and friends with the loss of their loved one, which is a pain they never are able to heal. Ridgway has served 25 years about now in prison since he was arrested in 2001. He terrorized our community. So the victims and the victims' families, of course, the entire community was here. And then anything greater than is hard for some people to really comprehend, but the entire state, and maybe even the Northwest, because some bodies were found. Here's a man who disrupted the lives of people who lived in the Northwest. One person created a tragedy, a horror that still lives on today. So he pled guilty to 49 murders. We closed 51 cases. He says he killed 65 people. That was his punishment. 49 consecutive life terms here on earth. That's what we could give him. It sounds to me like he's soon to die, and he'll meet his true judgment when he passes away.
I think I have to ask, if Ridgway does die without confessing or revealing more about the victims, what does that mean for families, for you, who you've been front and center?
By the way, this would be a prime situation for genetic genealogy, but they would have to kind of reverse it. So they would have to have the DNA on the victim to come back to essentially him, right? And have a lack of his DNA to work with. But I do believe they have his DNA. So with that said, there would kind of be no need for that. So I'm wondering if perhaps they have crime scenes that they have not been able to run against his, or if there's just no DNA at them. That's very odd.
In this case.
Well, I have to tell you, the King County Sheriff's Office, of course, I'm biased, but they have continued this investigation. They have monitored the information. They have accepted more tips. I continue to get calls from people still today. Hey, I think that, so-and-so was a victim, or I think I may have met him and I have this information. I pass it on to the sheriff's office. They have kept this case open. All of those cases that are still unsolved today, I just talked to one of the sergeants yesterday. They are continuing this investigation. They have 3 victims that are still missing.
And we've talked about this before. This case not only consumed your life, your work life, but if we close this chapter now with all those unknowns, what do you want the community to remember about those victims who we may have never even learned their names?
Yeah.
And lastly, do you have any questions for Ridgway yourself?
For me, I want people to remember that the victims in this case were the daughters and sisters of of mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and aunts, uncles, cousins. They were somebody's cherished loved one, and some that fit by this monster. When I interviewed Ridgway, you were staring pure evil in the eyes, and the pain that we went.
Yes, Sarah Green River Gary, and I do agree with you, Reggie. I do think that there are pieces of crime scenes, especially because of how long ago he was active, that they likely could resend in evidence for DNA, and that's a brilliant point, and they should absolutely do that because I bet they would be able to find it now with the way technology has come around to being able to find the tiniest, especially if they medvac. They go through and medvac any potentials and then run them for DNA. Hopefully they can get some answers because this motherfucker has a history, just like all of them, to false confessing or attempting, or I say threatening to confess, but not really doing it, like kind of edging on the detectives, just fucking with them so he can get like a Dr. Pepper, which we see all the time, but he's just not trustworthy anymore. At first, when he was in his show off phase, when he's trying to get all the credit, yeah, but he withheld for sure. Because every few years he'd pop out with a little more and a little more. And then sometimes he would be, telling the truth. So it's like, well, damn, how do you work with someone like that when they're on their deathbed? They're not going to fucking tell you anything. Although that detective's a pretty big bad ace, all right? And a couple of bad ace detectives are kind of obsessed with closing as many cases on him as possible. So I'd imagine he's going to get a lot of visits from them in the near future, if possible. Let's hope, because shit, what they need to do is they need to do exactly what Reggie said. They need to retest old evidence in potentials. That's just my opinion.
Through with each family, the tears, the anguish, the sense of loss. It's something that I can't explain. I've lost a mom and a dad, not the same, old age, illness, but that's the thing I think that we should really keep in mind. And as we look at sort of the demise of this case as he closes in on death, but for the victims' families, the case continues, the loss continues. And for those unsolved murders, those families are still suffering with questions that have not been answered yet.
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
No, you're welcome.
Back to you.
Tucked away in the small town of Yellville, Arkansas,
Okay,
is the
now this
home
is
of
the
the
last
Whittling
sweet story, and then we gotta get into the gabagool. Okay, we
Miss-
gotta talk about the main point of we gotta get to the point after this. But I wanted to throw this in there because you know how much we love the elderly here. We absolutely love a queen or king that lives past 100 or even late 90 something, but absolutely past 100, because what a centurion. That's exciting. So she's 109, she's fiddling, and she's in the Ozarks. I need to hear about her. Look at all her cool stuff. This looks like my apartment. Let's keep going.
Small town of Yellville, Arkansas, is the home of the Whittling fiddler. Miss Violet Hensley grew up helping her father cut down trees to make fiddles. Little did she know that would eventually take her from a farm in Arkansas to stages around the world. Even today.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's that? A little old lady cut down fucking trees to make her own fiddles? Hello. What a bad ace.
At 109 years old, Miss Violet is still whittling and fiddling her own way.
Nestled. I've told you guys before, the Ozarks has the best news. I'm talking West Virginia way. Okay, I'm talking Missouri way, and I'm talking parts of Alabama, Arkansas. This bitch makes her own fiddles. Look at this. She's a hoedowner. I love her so much.
In the heart of the Ozarks.
Hello.
Is the home of Violet Hensley.
Yeah, I am a fiddler.
At 109 years old, she still has her talent.
I'm sorry. I'm going to cry. I got to hear that again. Here I am fiddling. I love her so much.
Home of Violet Hensley.
Yeah, I am a fiddler.
At 109 years old, she still has her talent and her wit.
My birthday is October 21st.
How old did you turn?
Another day older.
Her smile and charm have graced the stages of the Grand Ole Opry.
Did you hear that? My birthday was October 21st. How old did you turn? Another day older. I love her so much, dude. Also, I can't wait till I'm at that age where I can just have my eyes closed and answer questions and it's not weird. Like, that's going to be awesome.
Silver Dollar City and the Beverly Hillbillies. But not only does she play the fiddle, she whittles the fiddle.
Well, see, she never thought anything about it. Making a fiddle was just what Dad did. He'd trade them for a bed, and maybe a wagon, or maybe something else. Cow, I know.
LaWanna Nelson and Sandra Flagg, Violet's daughters, say their grandfather, Violet's dad, made his first fiddle in 1888.
Oh, yeah. My dad played fiddle. Come and have a fiddle, yeah. Fiddle. She'd hold it about like this, and then she would let carve.
Dude, that is so sick, but the scratching on wood does give me the shivers. What is that? What's that called? It's like nails on a chalkboard. I don't hate it though. Because I respect her craft, but I don't know if I could whittle. I could fiddle, but I don't know if I could whittle. I don't even know if I could fiddle really, but I think I could try, But a fiddle and whittler, I did not expect. A fiddle and whittler who's 109? Are you kidding me? Are you kiddler? That's crazy. Good morning, Steve Moore. Nice to see you, hun. This is a 109-year-old lady from the Ozarks who fiddles and whittles her own fiddles. And she's 109. She closes her eyes when she talks to you because she can. And that is true. That's because the older you get, the sassier you could be. You could say all kinds of crazy shit when you're older. People let you get away with it. But what you do when you're old is what I like to focus on. And she does a lot, dude. Do you remember the old lady we saw who walks in diamond heels? She was so badass. And this woman whittles and fiddles. I'm into it.
Violet was born in 1916, but the fame didn't come until decades later. The old folk tune.
What? That's how you say pee-pee in the UK? I gotta take a whittle? That's pretty funny. That's actually pretty funny. Yeah, dude, she stayed up all night. She stayed up all night looking in the mirror going, whittle a fiddle, whittle a fiddle, whittle a fiddle. Also, did she whittle all this? Because that's real cute. If she whittled a tiny rocking chair, damn.
Stayed in the living room for most of their lives. It took a back seat as Violet had her hands full, taking care of a farm and 9 children.
This is our whole family. Mom.
9 fucking kids. When did she have time to whittle and fiddle? I would say, was there nothing good on TV? But it was the 20s, so I don't even think TV was invented. Damn.
Mom and Dad, my older sister, they talked her into playing at the local Turkey Trot Festival talent show. And that's what really got it started going again.
Those turkey trots will get you.
And so she made that fiddle real fast, made her a new fiddle to play there in about 2 weeks' time.
After that performance, she brought her whittled wood carvings and her fiddle to the War Eagle Fair. That's where Silver Dollar City discovered the whittling fiddler.
She played the fiddle on her head, and she would dance at the same time. She'll be coming around the mountain. Coming around the mountain, she'll be coming around the mountain, she'll be coming around the mountain.
It turned into a family affair.
I can't even play the fiddle normal. Is she fucking playing it on her head? Does she hula hoop? God damn. Normally I'd say she's doing too much, but I'm not going to stop her.
Traveling, performing, making albums.
Since us playing at Silver Dollar City.
From there, the tempo of their lives changed forever.
We grew up, before she started.
Fucking nerd. The tempo of their lives changed forever. Okay, Good one with the wordplay. Funny.
We're doing this. We were living in a little shack, and Mama didn't even drive. And it was a shack. And, we were just poor folks. Once people began to see her on TV and stuff, then it blossomed something there.
Violet whittled her first fiddle piece by piece at 15. Throughout the years, that number grew to over 70, while carving out time to pass down the art.
Sandy's daughter has made a fiddle.
Okay, Sandy, calm down. It's copyright law. You can't, don't get me in trouble. Look at her with the fiddle on her head. Oh my God, it's a whole family fiddling.
Yes. And my daughter has made a fiddle.
While her muscles and words may fail her some now,
she probably remembers more than we know. Just has forgotten how to say it.
See that? She was making a Jen McKay voodoo doll right there.
She probably remembers more than we know. Just has forgotten how to say it. She feels it.
the music never does.
She amazes me constantly.
I mean, I gotta be honest with you. This is literally an impression of me right after I ate Thanksgiving dinner. Like, this is exactly what I did. This is everything I said, everything she's doing and saying right here in this next part is me after I ate Thanksgiving dinner because I was so full.
She feels it.
Right
The
here.
music never does.
That's me. That's me after green beans. This is me after green beans.
She amazes me constantly. Everything about her amazing.
She's still fit as the fiddle she first made. Still playing the song of the Ozarks in her heart.
God's not through yet.
Shut up. That's the first fiddle she ever fucked with.
That's right.
It's the first fiddle she ever fiddled. She ever whittled. This is amazing. Dude. Where'd she get the case? You know what? I'm going to call bullshit. I'm just... What if I'm like, prove it?
He's just not through with her yet. That's all there is to it. Yeah, I have fun.
Wow.
She's amazing.
A richer story than the Stradivarius. I mean, that.
Okay, well, first of all, sir, you just learned that word. Second of all, you two are fucking jealous, all right? I can smell it.
That is fantastic.
She is one of a kind, and that is just only a glimpse into the 109 years that she's been here. It's just an honor. And I want to say thank you to her family for letting me come to Yellville.
That's amazing.
It was so...
Wait. She's a whittling fiddler in Yellville? So she just gave up on yelling and went straight to fiddling? Okay.
much fun to get to talk with her and just hear
And
about their
share her story.
life. Yes.
Yeah. It's remarkable. I mean, there's got to be a book and a movie in there somewhere.
And I was able to have a copy that she signed for me. It's called Whittling and Fiddling My Own Way, the story of Violet Hensley.
All right. That's pretty fucking cool. I like that. I like that a lot. But I'm going to call bullshit. There's no way. There's no way she made that case. No, I'm just fucking with you. I really think that that's really amazing. Like, that's kind of like I can't remember her name, but she's awesome. And she's like obsessed with horses. She's like this really cool autistic chick who like does a lot. Like, she does a lot. It's like, oh my God, girl. You kind of do too much, but I'm a big fan of hers and I can't even remember her name. I've heard her story a million times. Or also the girl from Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken. Like, that kind of cool. Like, someone who whittles and fiddles for a century is intense. And I like that about her. And I like that she kept her first one. That's super cool. I wish I would have kept my first clarinet. I wish I would have whittled my first clarinet. That would have been sick, but I didn't know how. Okay, anyway, let's get to the point. Because today we're going to talk about a 19-year-old cheerleader, all right, from Texas A&M, who grew up in Laredo, Texas. Now, in Laredo, there's actually a TAMU, a Texas A&M International University. which is a branch of Texas A&M, which is Texas A&M Bryan College Station. That's the one where they call it the Aggies, right? That's their mascot, and they're famous. They're a famous football team. They're pretty good. But they're famous for other things, especially in true crime. So let's talk. We'll go over the main players in this case. First, the reason I'm explaining to you the football element, which shouldn't matter, is because in a way you need to get the idea around the environment, the circumstance, where she was at, the situation, okay? Because if you get interested in the story and you want to research it, you are going to see a lot of bullshit. All right, you're going to see a lot of people blaming things like football and the environment and stuff like that, and the situation. Because yeah, it's kind of weird to see like an Aggie in the middle of West Campus during a UT Aggie game, which is a big rivalry. You know, it's just like some people would be like, "Don't fucking wear that A&M shirt down there in West Campus." People are gonna talk shit to you. But the thing is, she's a woman. Believe it or not, most people are not as aggressive. Like the men are usually, even the boy, like a little polite. They're not gonna like fucking get up in a woman's face unless they're really stupid drunk, which even them, they're not necessarily gonna like murder someone. That's kind of crazy. But you are gonna see a lot of people making those accusations. They're gonna blame it on the football element. They're gonna blame it on, you know, the whole rivalry and all that stuff. Well, what was an Aggie doing it? You know, shit like that. But you're also going to see a lot of people who are going to claim, which I think is false and stupid, they're going to claim that it's a cover up to help football. They're going to say, oh yeah, that's what they want you to think, that it has nothing to do with that, but it must. And this is a big cover up. Like they're going to treat it like it's Steubenville or something. But that's kind of dumb too, because you have to remember this is a really big school. Okay, there are so many people. It's not like these people don't intermingle on a regular basis, and in the end, we're all Texans anyway. And it's also like there's so many people on the football team, and they're all kind of like famous and shits. Like they weren't there, you know. And the school, if it cared about its reputation, they would have shown it a lot more when given ample opportunity in the past to hide other things that were really fucking terrible, and they didn't. And also, this is an APD case, not a campus police case. So it's not really going to be like a football cover, but you're going to see a lot of stupid shit like that, okay? The fact that she was a cheerleader is pointed out a lot. But the thing is, she wasn't at the game at all. She was a cheerleader, I believe, for her A&M school, which is adjacent to Bryan College Station. I haven't quite cleared that up yet, but either way, she wasn't cheering at the game and she wasn't at the game. That's the main part. Now, a lot of people, when they see the cheerleader thing, they're like, oh, well, this must involve football players, other cheerleaders, therefore involving administration, therefore involving like the school, blaming that. Some people also think it is directly on campus. It's not. It's in West Campus, which is right off campus. So you walk a few blocks and you're on UT campus, but where you are there, it's actually kind of where she was is the furthest place where Charles Whitman shot people from the tower. Like it would, like she was close enough to be within tower view. Let's just say that, but not on campus. So you're going to see a lot of accusations and false reports. And here's the thing. I have no stake in the game. I'm not a student at any of these schools anymore. I briefly took some classes at UT, but like I don't care about the football element of it at all. So if it had anything to do with it, I would tell you, but you are going to see a lot of that. Okay. So, West Campus is where everybody lives who isn't in a dorm, but still needs to be close to the school. So either you work there or, you're going to school there, or you just happen to need really cheap housing and a garage grandma apartment. At least that's how it used to be. Okay. This area, again, you can walk a few blocks, boom, you're in class. You see a ton of students walking around. Because of that, lots of foot traffic at all hours. This was a game night. Okay. They do this thing called tailgating. So if you want to go to the game, but you can't get tickets because they are kind of expensive, students get first dibs. So if you don't actually go to UT, it's a little bit harder to get the tickets. A lot of people will travel there. And yes, Sunflower, they try to do that, trying to do the same thing. Exactly. So a lot of people will travel from there, even opposing team members, and their girlfriends and like people, fans and stuff. And even if they can't get tickets to the game, they partake in tailgating. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's just like the Super Bowl. It's like everybody sitting outside tailgating, having fun. But it's not just like in the lots and stuff. It's around the game. It's all over campus. And sometimes it's at like apartments and stuff like that. So there's these like things that there's the traditional tailgating, which is right outside the stadium. And then there's tailgating, which is just slang. It's like, okay, a whole bunch of us are going to get together and have a party. That's basically what it is. So she did not even attend the game. Let me just give you a rundown. And then I'm going to play a brief news story for you. And then I'm going to read to you and show you some of the stuff that has been going on. Now, from my perspective, here's how I found out about it. I'm going through my next door the other day, and I like to look for yard sales. And I'm going through, and I'm very, very close to there. And I see, and I used to live there like for a long time. In fact, I lived behind the Jennifer Cave, Colton Petoniak, Laura Hall murder scene, and I heard her parents break in that night and find her body. I believe they found, I think she was chopped up in the bathtub or something, or shot in the back. I think she was in a trunk of a car, shot in the back of the head, if I remember correctly. And it was horrible, dude. And it was literally like across from the back of my porch. And I just was sitting outside, like listening to these people break glass. And I didn't know what was going on, but we had reported gunshots like a night or two before, maybe. I just remember it was really close to that. And then the cops came and they said other people reported them too. And they drove around. I'm trying not to say sorry. And then the cops drove around for a while and they were like, everything's good. They assumed, I guess, it was fireworks. And then it turns out that this meth head and his methy girlfriend had basically cut up and shot or something this young lady who was a law student at UT. And then right after that, we had to call the cops again because there was a shitload of noise and it sounded like screaming and yelling. And then I believe there was one gunshot. I didn't hear it. I was in the house, but my roommate did, and she was outside on the roof. A bunch of people called the cops because they told us, they were like, we already got a bunch of calls. And it ended up being a guy who, he was a weed dealer, I guess, and he had like a quarter pound of weed. And him and his girlfriend were both students. And some guy came in and was like, you owe me money at his apartment. And then he was like, I don't have any money. And they killed them both. So we heard that too. We heard the shots from that. Yeah, my roommate, me, would get up on the roof. We said in West Campus, a lot of the apartments are small granny units, but they have like we were upstairs. You had to walk like up this tiny side stairway. And then there was like a big loft. It was just really old and wooden. It was very Seattle-esque because you could just get up on the roof and smoke and drink and stuff like that. Now, we shared a backyard with a huge house, and that is where the UT cheerleaders lived. And they were our front neighbors, and they were hilarious. I got to be real with you. And I remember there was one night, well, also from the back of our roof, we saw this crazy party, and we were like, what the fuck is that? And there was a huge ruckus and people were screaming and we heard a huge fight. And then the police showed up and then it was all over TMZ and shit that Johnny Football got his ass beat at this UT party. That was behind our house. I guess they like threw a can of beer or something in his head and it caused a huge party. And the UT football players did try to fuck him up. So that happened. I guess he was talking shit to people. I don't know, but that's another example of like Aggies and Longhorns don't mix, you know. There's one morning we woke up and I had to go to work and I had to step over the bodies of like cheerleaders and there was one football player there, and I was like, that's kind of weird because they have a game today. But they were up all night partying, getting wasted in the yard. And we didn't care. We just, I'll sleep through anything. So it's like, whatever. Our front neighbors are fucking loud ass. So I go to work, and then at work at the bar, there was like, because I was working at a restaurant at the time, the news was on, and they were reporting that some player was suspended, and a bunch of UT students were suspended because he didn't show up for the game. And then I guess the players who did were all fucked up, and they were just like puking and playing like shit, and they lost. And it was a big thing. And this player, I think, got like, he was like a big deal. I think he got kicked off the team or something happened. But anyway, he was in our yard. So it is a party area. It is a party area. I had to move out. I was like, it's too fucking loud all the time, and there's too much crazy stuff going on. So after I moved out, they built these massive high rises, and this is where it ties in to this case. So there's 21-story high rises and shit just popped in the middle of these residential tiny neighborhoods, these old granny units, right? And for the longest time, the biggest one was called the Cotillion, but then they built 21 Rio, and it's because it's on 2100 Rio Grande, and it is an odd shape. Let me just show you this place so you can get an idea of what this shit looks like, because it really is crazy looking. Hold on. Let me pop open a couple of these. I'm doing this thing where I'm trying to not have a bunch of tabs open, but still have them listed for you guys, so I'm prepared so I can show them to you. So let me pop these up. I'm going to show you these apartments. And they're really cool looking from the angle of, they're really cool looking from like apartments.com and stuff, and usually like apartments don't look like they do in real life, but in this case, they kind of are that cool looking. They do look like that. So within one block of these apartments is where all that shit I just described has happened in the past, okay? Not just that, like 3 blocks away, there was a house that was shaped like a boat. And it was called the SS something. But it was on 22nd and a half Street, if I remember correctly. But it was shaped like a boat. And there was a rumor going around that I thought was a rumor. It ended up being true. And my buddy lived there. And he said, you want to see something crazy? And this is how I know it's true. And then I looked it up after this. It was like, holy shit. He had told us that a couple of years before, a heroin addict lived there. And the guy was selling heroin with his buddies. And he was in all these gangs. And the neighbor came in and was like, I'd like to buy some heroin, please. And then the guy's like, sure, let me go get some from the other room. You're wrong, Kevin from South Boston. You're going to love the story. Sit back. So he's like, yeah, let me go get you some heroin. He goes into the other room. Well, apparently there was already some heroin laying out on the table, some, I guess, personal. And this guy who's there to buy it takes it. He just takes it. Supposedly, that's what these dudes thought. So they come in and they're like, you took our heroin. Now you must pay. And so they take him and they torture him for like 2 days, beat the fucking shit out of him. They cut him a bunch. They put cigarettes out on him. They literally torture him. And then they say, hey, you know what we should do? Let's inject a bunch of Drano into his head and his body. And they did. And then they stuck it and they used, fucked up nasty old needles. And they did that. And then they stuffed him in a small triangle Harry Potter looking closet. And they locked him in there and he couldn't get out. And then they left. So they left out of town. So a few days later, the police show up and they're like, hey, we're looking for this guy, the neighbor. We heard he's here. Someone snitched, I guess. Turns out he was able to get help, but when they opened the tiny closet, he was damn near dead. He was definitely forever changed. And he had written in his own blood, help me, and then some gibberish. And they took him, and I believe he was a vegetable after that. and those dudes went to jail. But yeah, so my buddy Chris says, so this place was really, really cheap, and that's why we live here. And then after we moved in, I opened this closet and I saw all this crazy stuff written in it, and I shine the light and it looks like blood. And I said, what the fuck? And he said, so I called our landlord, and he was basically put in touch with the management office that the realtor working at it, and was like, hey, what's up with this, to the leasing manager. And they're like, oh, that's in your disclosures, you didn't read it. And then he read it and realized, like, it was at one point the scene of a crime, but it said that it had been, like, cleaned and stuff. But he's like, well, look at this. And then they were like, yikes, our bad, we will lower the rent $100 a month. And he was like, cool. And he had to go in and paint over it, but every time he painted over it, you could see it through. And he showed it to me, and I saw it, and I went, what the fucking fuck? I thought you were fucking with me. And I looked it up, and it really did happen. And that was very disturbing. So even though it's a fun place for students to live, a lot of fucked up shit has happened there. Okay? So that's right by this place. And what's crazy is I think they ended up tearing down that ship house to build another high rise. So as you can see, this is just the bottom of it. Okay. And you can see right here, there is a convenience store. And a long time ago, I took up, what's it called? Uber Eats delivery for a little bit. And I said, fuck that. I just wanted to do it for funsies and see how much money you can make. And I had to deliver to places like this. And I said, never mind. And I just stuck with, I was like, I'll take some extra shows. It was when I was mainly doing comedy. I was like, fuck that. Like, it's a nightmare. I've been to this building a bunch. This is a big ass convenience store. Okay. That's open really fucking late. When this incident happened, it was open. Over here is where the incident happened. Okay. So the person fell from the top, which I'm going to show you in a minute, down to here. You have to have a key card to get in, a key card to go up in the elevator, a key card to go down in the elevator, a key card to get in every door, a key card to get past the front desk. There's a front desk person there 24/7. There are cameras everywhere. And up here on the 7th floor right here, this is where they have like a big pool and all this stuff. And there are cameras facing up. And then up at the top, there's cameras facing down. So there's cameras fucking everywhere. And then on the street lights, okay? As you can see, there's scooters. And right across is a co-op. And there's just very active buildings all over. This is all lit up at night, okay? And this is what the building looks like in the horizon. So you can see it. It's beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. So down here, this is the convenience store we just looked at. Let me, there we go. So down here's the convenience store we just looked at. Right here is where she was found, and she fell from right here. Okay. Now, as you can see, this protrudes out quite a bit, which is why I believe they think she jumped, because you would normally land here, okay, right on this level. In order to project out a little bit, you would likely need to push, okay? Now, it's very, very tall. And just to give you an idea, this is the balcony view from actually, I think, 3 stories lower than where she fell. So, as you can see, that's pretty fucking high. All right. Now, here is what the average apartment looks like, which I wish I could have gotten this much bigger. But this is pretty much what the average apartment looks like, specifically the one that she would have been partying in. So this is a very, very, very tall building. That is, again, this is a lower floor than she would have fallen out of, but the exact same balcony. So this is what the balcony looked like. It does come up to, I mean, I'm 5'8", 5'9", and it comes up to probably about my waist. So For her, she's shorter than me. It probably would have been right between her waist and like her chest area. So that's pretty weird. Now, people are saying like you could fit 8 to 15 people on the balcony and a keg and do cakes. And it's like, yikes, dude. But there was a big party right here on this level. So there's a huge party that's for all UT students and anybody who lives in the building. So it's like all UT students who live in the building can party here. But she was at a private party up here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you. I'm going to leave that up while I read some stuff to you. Let me tell you a little bit more about this, okay? So here is what happened. She's a 19-year-old cheerleader from Texas A&M. Her name is Brianna Aguilera. On November 18th, 2025, her and Aggie goes to a UT game, but doesn't actually go to the game. She goes to tailgate at a party in West Campus. The game started at 6 p.m. It ended around 10 p.m. She's at the party less than a mile away from where the game is going on, and her body is found outside of the high-rise apartments 21 Rio and West Campus, which is the building we just looked at, around 12:47 a.m. So at this point, when she's found, it's actually technically the next day. It's Saturday, the 19th. Okay. So I'm sorry. Yeah, the 19th. So it was at 12:47 a.m. Okay. So she had either jumped or fallen, is what was first reported. Police say that she jumped, potential suicide, but they are investigating. Her mother, however, who was not there but noted that Brianna was acting weird and put her phone on Do Not Disturb during the party, said she would never jump and that the police are not investigating it properly. She also didn't find out until 4 p.m. the next day. A lot of the party goers who were there were 15, including her, so there were 14 others. They were not interviewed apparently until 1 p.m., according to some sources, and others say until 1 p.m. No one from the party called the police to report this. This was reported by a passerby on the ground who saw her body. So when she jumped is still in question. Now, her mother's also pissed because she tried to show the cops text messages from her daughter which essentially confirmed that her daughter and another girl had been in a fight at some point. There are photos of her standing on the balcony of this high-rise posing with a bunch of friends earlier that day. Yeah, so nobody saw her fall. But here's the thing, Reggie. There's cameras everywhere, on every floor, like everywhere. And the building security guard or maintenance guy, I believe, who actually looked at cameras, commented in the local Reddit for 21 Rio and talked about it and told her cousin, who has been very, very vocal about this. Okay. So let's keep going. So she was acting weird, right? She'd gone in a fight with this other girl. The police disregarded that when her parents told them that. The apartment she was last in was located on the 17th floor. And the party goers allegedly claim that she just disappeared. Like they just didn't see her anymore. She was at the party and then they didn't see her in the room. Apparently no one has reported that she actually jumped, but that's just because her mother, even her mom's like, they didn't tell me that. They said nobody saw her. Okay. The mom also says that some people were allowed to leave, which is interesting. And that the person who rented or owned the apartment, a female, had vacated the apartment ASAP. So that's pretty wild. Another thing you have to remember is the convenience store at the bottom is right by where this happened, including the entrance into the entire building where the 24/7 front desk person, the liaison, would have been working. And it's all glass there. You can see through it. So it would have been in the direct line of vision, in my opinion, because I've been there and I've seen it. There's a garage entrance to like drive your car in. So that's pretty much from there is where the body was found, but it was also very messy and it extended out to where the leasing office, which is the bottom floor, which is the front desk. So it's like, it's not a doorman, but it's a lady at a desk or a dude at a desk. So they would have been looking out, seeing total glass. They would have had full view of the sidewalk. Okay. Then you have houses along across the street that would have been able to see it. It's popping because it's not 2 a.m. yet, which is when they cut off booze, and that convenience store right there is totally lit up, likely with some people going in and out of it. So I think that it's astounding that the person who reported it is someone who happened to be walking by and see her on the sidewalk, and not anybody in the convenience store or across the street or the front desk. Like that's what's wild to me. They might have maybe heard something but didn't know what happened, because apparently it was very, it was dark in that one spot, but there's also lights all around from, again, the front desk, and it's kind of odd to me. But anyway, so the mom said that some were allowed to leave, and the girl who lived in the apartment vacated it ASAP. Her mom also claims that there was some sort of fight with another female that had gone down allegedly without much other info than that. Her mother claims she didn't find out about Brianna's death until 4 p.m. later that Saturday. Okay. So let's go ahead and listen to what the news has to say about it so you can see what's being reported. Okay. And then I'm going to tell you what some of the locals have to say, including the person who I believe found the body. And, well, his friend tells people on Reddit, but I was able to go back through. I'm not going to show you anything that I wasn't able to at least confirm it's a true person there. I looked their Reddit history, and I can tell that these people for a couple of years have been commenting about the same local shit where they're like, it's obvious, the one guy talks about his job, so you can tell. But yeah, and I'm going to show you the picture in a little bit of her with her friends at the party, who were at the party before it got dark. So let's go ahead and watch this first, okay?
She's still writing it.
And she is still writing it.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
A mother says her daughter fell 17 stories to her death, but she does not believe it was a suicide. This happened last Friday in Austin, right after the UT Texas A&M football game.
So Brianna Aguilera, who was a Texas A&M student from Laredo, was found dead outside of an apartment complex early Saturday morning. Her mother says that Austin police told her it was a suicide, but she believes there is more to the story. Our Erica Hernandez joining us now. Erica, you spoke with Brianna's mother today. She says she's getting inconsistent answers from Austin PD.
Yeah, that is correct. She told us that Stephanie Rodriguez believes somebody did something to her daughter. She said Brianna wasn't suicidal. She was 19 years old and looking forward to becoming a lawyer after graduating from Texas A&M. Now, this is Brianna Aguilera. Her mother said during our phone interview today that she called Austin PD looking for her daughter on Friday night after Brianna didn't answer her phone, but she could see it pinging at a location in Austin. Now, they told her she would have to wait 24 hours before filing a missing persons report. On Saturday, police found Brianna's phone after her mother told them where it was pinging at, but it wasn't until 4 p.m. that day she was told her daughter was in the morgue and had been found by a Good Samaritan at around 1 a.m. Rodriguez said the detective told her Brianna fell from 17 floors and investigators believed it was a suicide. Now, Austin PD has said in a preliminary report, quote, there is no evidence of any suspicious circumstances, and this case is not.
Now, here's another problem. Not being investigated as a homicide does not necessarily mean not being investigated. However, this is so fast. If there were 15 kids, this is very fast. Okay. The girl leaving the apartment and moving out, I can see how that might be suspicious to some. Let me put it this way. This girl went to the apartment for a party. She was invited there. She was there earlier that day when it was light outside. So it would have had to be between 2 and 6 p.m. because it gets dark here now around 5:30. She takes a picture. It's the daylight. She's around a bunch of people. They're all smiling. Okay. She's not like being stupid and wearing her A&M gear out in public. She's dressed nice, It's very normal, I think, if perhaps the girl who owned that apartment had the party, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, okay, it's very normal, in my opinion, for a girl who perhaps invited her friend to a party and then that friend ends up falling or jumping 17 stories. It's normal, in my opinion, to want to move out. I would not want to live somewhere where someone did that out of my apartment. Like, I would feel horrible. So I'm not going to judge that girl for that. I just want to make that very clear because that was something that seems to be repeated in the subs. It is very traumatic. And I noticed in the picture, actually, here, let me just show it to you. I'm going to interrupt this news program to show you the picture, okay? Because I personally think that some people are being a bit much, but I don't think the parents are. I think that the mom genuinely just wants answers. And I think it's totally fair of her to want it to be investigated more, considering the circumstances, especially if there were a bunch of drunk people there and if they lost sight of her. If her friends lost sight of her and there were boys at the party that perhaps she didn't know, or even girl, like if she got in a fight with a girl, that's also kind of a big deal. Could she have been pushed or mid-fight and then fell over and others who are her friends didn't see? Well, her mom would like to know, but the police are being very silent, not telling her much of anything. So let me show you this. So this is the last picture she posted from the balcony, okay? So this is her and her friends, okay? And they're all on this balcony. And do you see how high this is? And do you see where the railing is? Now, they're obviously probably standing like 2 feet in front of it, but these are short girls, okay? They're probably like 5'4", 5'6", 5'1", even. Like, to jump off that, you have to climb up it. So these are girls that were at the party too. See how it's light outside? So they were there before the game started. The game started at 6. It would have been dark as fuck because it's been getting dark here at 5:30. So they were there in the day. So these are people she knew, clearly her friends. It's not like she showed up to some strange party she'd never been before. She's taking pictures on the balcony earlier that day. And she looks happy. They all look happy. And that's very, very fucking high. So let's go ahead and continue. All right. Because I want you to hear some of this. And then I want you to hear some of what the family, her cousin has spoken out, her mother, and the person who found her on the sidewalks, friend, residents of 21 Rio, students. So I want you to hear their point of view too, that the news has not reported, it seems, other than the mom.
Being investigated as a homicide. Now, her mother, a mental health nurse, said Brianna is not suicidal. She believes one of the 15 people inside the apartment at the time of her death knows something.
There's a lot of inconsistencies with the story. He told me that they said she jumped. And then he told me that the friends said that they didn't know her whereabouts. Now, there was a fight that happened between my daughter and another girl, and they were all staying in the same apartment that I have actual text messages of. And the detective he disregarded them.
So Rodriguez was in Austin today to meet with Austin PD about the case and to hopefully get more answers. She was still waiting the final cause of death by the medical examiner there as well. We asked some follow-up questions about the investigation, but they gave us that same statement as before, that it was not being investigated as a homicide. We will continue.
Okay. So that's what's going on there. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you. Okay, so we already looked at the picture. We already looked at the balconies. Let me show you something else. Oh, and that's another weird thing. So when this apartment was being built, oh my God, Sassy. Sassy, thank you so much. I'm going to spend that on rebuilding the Alf Sex Hotline because they took it down. What are we going to do now, Sassy? Also, thank you so much. And dude, I missed you guys. Being in New Orleans was weird. It was like, it felt traumatic being separated from Mookie's, aka the Hoogan, but also you guys. I was like, fuck. So exhausted though. I am going to throw this in the middle because Sassy sent a donation, and I feel like the very least I can do is offer up something like this.
Get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy ain't been on the roof. Never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy ain't gay on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy drill on the roof. Never seen a big boy drill on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy drill on the roof. Big boy drilling on the roof. Big boy drilling on the roof. Big boy ain't drilling on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy ain't climbing on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. How you do it like that? Damn, you got tubes on your back. Climbing on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Shit, big boy get loose. Shit, big boy get loose. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never, oh shit, he's falling on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy hop on the roof. How you do it like that? Oh shit, you just like a back. Oh shit, pick up your back. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Get on the roof. Get on the roof. Get your ass out the roof. Get your ass back out the roof. I ain't never see a big boy leap on the roof. Get the big ass out.
And I also feel like I'm going to throw in a little extra for my daytime people here because I feel like it's been a while since we've been in touch. So thank you, Sassy, and thank you to all of you for being here in the day. I think you get a little bit of this. Okay, so that's a big thank you. That's a big thank you for that. Okay, so let me go ahead and now I'm going to bring up, and thank you very much, Sassy. Thank you. Actually, while I bring this up, I may as well treat you guys to this real quick because it's been a minute.
I deserve to be more famous. Here is everything I did in 1 year. I put my son on Grindr. I invented the pyramids. I dedicated a month of my busy time to the gays. I protested outside of Panera. I did guerrilla marketing. I voted. I voted again. I turned 32. My son got kidnapped by the circus, and then he got released. I think he was doing faking about it. I reunited with my god cousin and found him a god girlfriend. I still have not been able to borrow the red robin bird for the night, but this will happen soon. I only want to talk to it. What did you do? Probably nothing, but that's okay. You can still wear my fashions to be more like me.
Okay, and this little bit of Marcus pork for you. All right, now I'm going to read you some of the stuff that's going around while you take a look at that picture there. All right, so this is somebody who commented in the local Austin group about this, and then I believe cross-posted into a true crime subreddit. Now, I was able to go back and look at their history and see that they are not bullshitting. They indeed do know quite a bit. So this is what she says. I'm close friends with the guy who lives and works in the building. I asked him what happened, and he said he was walking home around 1 a.m. Friday night and saw her laying on the ground. He and a lot of residents in the building were questioned by police about what happened. I asked him what was going on yesterday morning, and he said her death was originally thought to be a homicide because it was pretty graphic on the ground. But he said early Saturday morning around 6 a.m., the police questioned building members again and were able to find out that she attended a party within the building and had fallen from the 17th floor. My friend said he checked the camera footage and they didn't see her on the 7th floor amenities or balcony at any point during the night. But they did see her going up the elevator and getting off at the 17th floor and never coming back down. Now, this makes sense because, again, there are cameras everywhere, okay? Like everywhere, especially inside. And they don't even let you go. Like if you want to put in your floor, you have to scan a key card or you have to be beeped it. Like basically the front desk person allows it. It was crazy delivering there. It was horrible because it takes forever. So you basically need a card to get everywhere. And then there's cameras everywhere on the inside and outside, okay? So they've now ruled it as a suicide. The guy I've been talking with won't give me any other information, but I don't think that's the full story. Her name is Brianna Aguilera, and there was a UT&M after party with alcohol going on the 7th floor amenities all night. But again, she fell from a party on the 17th floor, okay? Now, her cousin is also in this and is appealing to anybody who lived in the area or saw anything to basically speak up, okay? Some of the people were saying, I wonder if she was accidentally pushed back. The balconies have sidewalls that mimic a ledge you could sit on or something to support your feet. It's a terrible design, which I agree with. It is, and I've seen it, and it's really shitty. And we were just looking at it a minute ago. Now, I'm going to show you something crazy that I cannot believe is real. Some people are really stupid. I'll just say that. Some people are real stupid. Because this building has a history. It's not necessarily the safest, okay? It's kind of known for when it was being built, something happened. As you can see by the title of this article, 3 people died building this structure. It's so high. They were paisanos. That was what a neighbor told the Austin American Statesman about Wilson Joel Arias Cerritos, Jesus Angel Lopez Perez, 2 of the 3 men who died June 10th while working on the construction of the 21 Rio high-rise apartment building. They were from Honduras, and the 3rd man, Raudel Ramirez Camacho, was from Querétaro, Mexico, where he leaves a widow and 2 small children. The 3 men were on a scaffold 11 stories high when it appeared to collapse, according to witnesses, and the men fell to their deaths. So it goes on, but basically this building has a history of people falling to their death from it. So it is not the smartest idea to do what this scary bitch did. Okay. Now, I'm showing you this one. As you can see, it's at the 21 Rio Apartments. And I'm showing you this so I can show you how stupid people can be. Okay. This was, granted, over a decade ago, but this was right after it was built. Okay. A girl decided, I'm going to go ahead and rappel off the side of the building like an asshole. Okay. No, she didn't die, but I just want you to understand, this girl was sober and chose to do this. Okay. She was sober and she chose to do this. So imagine how drunk people act in these high rises. And as you can see, she is standing on the bottom. You can't see where her foot is, but there's a ledge right there. And look at how high up she still is. Like, she seems pretty tall. But this is a terrible idea. Now you see the tower in the background. So she's probably at like the, I want to say probably like the 12th or 13th floor. Throw back to that one time I was crazy and rappelled down the side of 21. Like, what an idiot. Okay. So people do dumb shit, especially in West Campus. But this girl, she wasn't rappelling off a building. Okay. Like, she just wasn't doing that. So this is very disturbing. Let me read you the statement from her cousin. I'll actually show it to you. Hold on. Okay. Here's what her cousin has to say. My cousin would never do this. She was terribly afraid of heights. That's a big one. I agree completely. Terribly afraid of heights. Probably wouldn't jump off building. The details of this case are suspicious. Now, I agree, and here's why. Austin PD has a really bad history of poor investigatory practices. Okay, if you thought Canton was bad, holy shit. Sometimes they don't even check rooms for blood at all. In fact, one guy was chopped up and murdered by his roommate. They had full access to the house. They said there was nothing there that was suspicious. Turns out it was covered, like douched in blood. Okay, you could physically see red blood. You didn't need luminol. And they overlooked it. They failed. Private investigator to do that. Like in Roxanne Paltoff's case, they didn't even find the hotel room. Actually, me and her sister did 10 years later. They didn't even know what hotel room she was in. Like, they're really bad at their fucking jobs. All right. For my case, my first investigator was great. My second one, fucking terrible. I remember he was talking about interviewing the girl who stabbed me. And I'm sitting there like, he's telling me, well, I walked in and I said, hey, do you know anything about this? She said, no. She said she wanted a lawyer, and I yelled, fuck. I was just like, what, dude? And I had suggested, why don't you just tell her cousin flipped? And he went, oh, that's a good idea. And he asked me, where'd you think of that? How'd you think of that? I go, it was on SVU, dude. Like, the fact that he didn't think of that, and I had to tell him something I saw on SVU, and he said, damn, that's a good idea, scared the fuck out of me. Okay. So no, I don't think they're the best at doing their fucking jobs. All right. One of the worst investigations I've ever seen, her cousin says, agreed. Her phone and keys were released to a non-family member. Oh, guess what? When the APD found a deaf guy who tried to kill a woman with a machete on Middle Fiskville Road a few days after Roxanne Paltoff went missing, when he was strangling a prostitute, and they went and tried to arrest him, but he got away, and then he dropped his wallet, and they found it, and then they found the missing girl Roxanne's ID in his wallet. Police gave it the fuck back to him. They released to him the ID of an active missing persons victim. They did that. They gave it back to a potential suspect. Fucking idiots. Doesn't surprise me. Instead of being taken to the station, her phone was not computer dumped at the station. The apartment was not searched. Wow. Proctor much? Nobody who was with her set foot in a station interview room. Yep. There are procedures to this, all of which have been absent from Austin PD's investigation. Their lack of professionalism, chain of command, and preservation of a crime scene is reckless. Absolutely. Brianna's closest friend states she would never do this. She was ready to celebrate the holidays, see her mother for Christmas. Her two little brothers, was making plans one whole year out of her graduation and Aggie ring. I urge any of her friends to send in the slightest details to APD. Whatever the case may be, there is so much more to this unimaginable horror than my baby cousin's passing. And I totally agree. And also, hello, Claudia. It's so nice to see you. Yes, it's very cool to hear too. So, this is very concerning. I absolutely think her family has every single right to be skeptical of APD, because what? They released her shit to someone else. They never entered the apartment. That's wild. That is absolutely insane. Okay, so let me move on. I'm going to show you something else. Let me pull this up. So we saw the girl repelling. Give me just 1 second. Okay. Oh, yeah. Also, a lot of the locals were talking about where the cameras are located, and I can attest anything you read from the locals about where the cameras are is true. There are cameras fucking everywhere. Okay, here it is. So this is kind of disturbing, what I'm about to show you, so trigger warning. But you don't see anything graphic, but this is the crime scene the night it happened. This is from the perspective of a person who's walking along the sidewalk. This is how they protected the scene. So as you can see, so back here behind this tree, to the right, so back this way is where the convenience store is. Now, do you see how pretty lit up? They actually do have a lot of streetlights right there. So that's the garage where you would enter to go inside the garage. And then this is the leasing office over here past this little overpass thing. What do you call it? Overhang. This is where she was found. So she is on the sidewalk. Okay. The building jets out to about right where this tree is and then goes in to the right and then up. You remember that, right? So she would have had to have been pushed with some force to make it onto that sidewalk and just barely missed multiple opportunities to land on various balconies on the way down, if that makes sense. So this whole area, okay, and then across the street is homes, houses, apartments, and businesses, and then a business right here to the right, and then this is the entry to one part of the leasing office. It wraps around, goes through a corridor. There's a downward thing to go into the garage, and then the rest of it. So this is what it looked like. All right. Let me see how the sign 21 Rio right there. So the leasing office is right there. Like, this is really crazy. And they had this whole area blocked off where nobody could get past unless you were on foot. So someone took this picture who likely lived in the residence. But yeah, that's essentially what's going on so far. Let me find I'm gonna find you. Let me show you this. So this is what the apartment put out to the residents, and this really pissed people off. I have a friend who lives there who told me she got one of these, but that she actually got like 4 or 5 of them, and they all said the same thing. And she was like, "What the fuck?" Someone else in here says that they got a bunch of them too, but that it was just like, hold tight, hunker down, and we'll tell you what's going on as soon as we know more. So this is what they sent out to the residents. Okay. Good evening. It is with great sadness we can confirm that the individual involved in this morning's incident was not a University of Texas student or 21 Rio resident. So it is with great sadness we can confirm that this person didn't live here. So it would have been better if they did. I don't get this at all. At this time, no additional details are available. Our thoughts and sincere condolences are with the individual's family and all those affected. 21 Rio management. It is with great sadness that we confirm this person didn't live here or go to school here. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that means. And I do think someone knows something. And it is brightly lit. And the police are lazy as fuck. And definitely wow. What the fuck? I mean, this is just poorly written. Everybody was like, what the fuck? It's wait, so you're sad that it's not one of us who lives here? Like, it just makes no sense. I don't understand what was going on with this. I really don't. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. This person was a relative of mine. If you have any information about what you heard, saw, or the tiniest details, please reach out to me or Austin PD. None of this makes sense. I urge you to come forward for the sake of clarity for me and my family. Let me actually zoom in a bit on this. All right. So this person talks about, see how they say there's cameras on the 7th floor balconies that point upwards toward the 8th to 21st floor balconies. So this is absolutely true. Now I'm willing to guess, I'll guess that there's possibly footage of her doing it, which is why the police are so sure. And if that is so, which it is likely based, I'm telling you, the cameras are fucking everywhere. Okay. So like boom, 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 facing upward, and then the same facing down from the top, and then that out jutted part. So it makes me wonder if they have footage, I guess, of her doing it. And perhaps that is how they both narrowed down the floor the party was on and likely what happened to her without people in the party being able to confirm it or having witnessed it. Because if someone else witnessed it, they would have had to report it in order for them to be sure of it, right? So the person who found her at 12:47. All right. At 12:57, she was declared dead. I believe they tried to do CPR for at least 10 minutes. That means that especially with how busy and well lit it is, she likely had just jumped sometime shortly before that. So in that case, considering we also have confirmation that a person who works there and had access to the cameras was able to check them, chances are those were handed over to police, or police watched them on site. Since they didn't take anybody to the station, it's likely that they, probably have some sort of video evidence, and maybe that's how they know. No, they would have picked it up because they face, let me see if I can pull it up. So they face, basically, on the 7th floor, there's that one that's larger, and then the building is smaller. And the larger part has cameras that face upwards diagonal facing the top floors. So they can see every single balcony. One of the reasons they have those is because you can zoom in with them and you can see if someone's smoking, because smoking is a big no-no in a lot of these buildings. I don't believe they're motion censored. I believe they're 24/7. I'm telling you this like one of those rich people condos, but also if like there's a 4-bedroom available, you can apply for a 1-bedroom, get it, and they put you in, they choose your roommates for you. That is true. It would cover it, but it's just it's see-through. It's not like a brick where it's all the way through. And also she would have to get up on top of it and then jump from it. So they likely would have seen that if that's what happened. That's what they're saying happened. So it's interesting. They're staggered. And some of them are like, they're all just thin bars and you can see through what's happening, but they're not like glass. They're also not big stone. So it's a very strange case indeed. There are quite a few, and again, here I'll show you. Actually, I'll just show you this whole doc. I hope you can see it okay. I do have to wrap this up shortly, but I think you can see that all right. So essentially, she would have been up here, okay? Now the cameras are facing upward at an angle so that they can see everything that's going on, So if she was stepping off or pushing, she would have to push off to get over this part, like over it, and then to land at the sidewalk. If she had likely just fallen over puking, maybe she would have likely landed on the 7th floor, which apparently has happened before by accident and people survived. But it's kind of like on a lesser sense, if you were to jump here, you'd likely land here. So you'd have to push out, but not as far. But she's up here on this floor, and she's found literally right where this building covers. So, yeah, I think that they did, but the problem is the parents are saying that there was a fight with another female, but her jumping and falling are two different things, and they might be presuming she had to have jumped because of where she landed. And yeah, exactly. Something feels off. But at the same time, they've got all these cameras. So my question is, can they view the origin of what happened up here? Because if she were standing up on there, or if she got up on there, let's say to take a selfie, for example, and she was drunk, did someone jokingly push her? What propelled her? And why are they so sure so soon? That's the only reason I'm wondering if there's a camera that they could see very easily. In the 90s, early 2000s, Chicago had a problem with balconies falling apart. The city had to enforce building codes. Weird because a lot of porches and balconies collapsed within a short time frame. Ooh, that's weird. It reminds me of those freaking smart gas meters or whatever that were going off in Vermont and causing explosions, and they all seem to happen at once. Was there any kind of earthquake or something that happened shortly before that? Because there's this like weird thing about like earthquakes and like it's not a plate tectonic shift, but on that level where like the ground changes, and then you see all these, like a flood is a big one, floods too, and then there's all these foundational repairs needed. But like to have a whole fucking bunch of balconies falling apart is insane. I bet those buildings were really old. Rex Heuermann let them get lit on fire. That guy didn't give a fuck. Good morning, Military Ma. We're about to wrap up, but I need to contact you because we need to talk about some stuff. We got to get you back on to talk about Henry, because we talked about the prosecutor the other day, and holy shit. I mean, pretty much everybody agrees, like, damn, that guy. Where do we go from here? We got to figure it out. I mean, that guy's involved in Russian hackers. Like, what? Also, the whole thing with like balconies falling apart is wild as fuck. Were they high rises? Because here in Austin, the big thing is glass panes. Downtown, they're building so many high rises. By the Four Seasons, they had a thing where glass panes from windows were just bursting out and glass was landing all over the sidewalk and almost killing people. So that was a big thing. Yeah, people died. Yep, same here. They in this case, there were glass panes falling, and the other thing is cars sliding out of high level parking spots and dangling. But a lot of glass has been falling from the high rises downtown recently. And it's not just one, it's like multiple down by Van Sant. It's nuts. Dude, of course, Team Wicked Smart. I just like, here's the thing. If I didn't know APD and had to work with them on my own case, probably would maybe like wait and see more on this one. But you got to be quick with them. You got to call them on their bullshit immediately, because they will let shit drag out. And if they're not held accountable or get their fucking feet to the fire real quick, they'll let shit blow over, because there's a lot of violence in the city and they could just turn to the next thing. But like, this needs to be investigated better. Like, and so many people are trying to make it into a football thing. And it's like, no, it's not that. It's not about Aggies versus Longhorns. That's stupid. It's more about like, communicate with the family, give them an actual answer, because this girl's a year away from graduating, right? She's in law school, which is insanely hard. She's almost done. She's excited. It's the holiday season. She's smiling in all of the pictures. Like, you can't tell me that girl was suicidal. And I'm sorry, but people with a fear of heights, drunk or not, are not going to jump off a balcony. That's fucked. These cops are stupid. The fact they didn't even go into the apartment is insane to me. Yeah, the autopsy can take months, and the toxicology results can take months. And that's another thing. Did you know in Austin, there's a backlog, just like in Houston, and it's bad, and it takes forever. It took 3 years for my DNA to come back on my case. And they didn't even get it all back. It took 5 years for another piece, and then another, the statute of limitations was up. In this issue, since they're not calling it a homicide, were they to call it a suicide, then there's no statute of limitations, because then what? There's no investigation. That's fucked. So step one, the ME better not, they better fucking not say it was a suicide. AKA the coroner better work with them, because they're stubborn as fuck. The DNA, like, is it going to come back? And are they doing DNA? Are they going to check her clothes and see if anybody pushed her? Does she have hair in her hands? Like, did they check any of that? If there was a fight or an argument with another girl, I would think to look under her fingernails. Then to top that off, like, this was not very high profile, and it should have been. Like, it's catching on now, but like, why wasn't this, like, I had to hear about it on my next door, okay, and through my local subreddits and from people who live there. Like, why was it not blasted on every single news station with what the fuck police immediately? Why would they report it as a suicide or allow the media to do that? Why are they so sure? And what? They don't even have to tell us. Tell the family. Tell the family why they're so sure and show them why. I don't understand that. It's disgusting, dude. But yeah, if I didn't know how fucking lazy and dumb those assholes were, here's the thing. Some people, most people, statistically speaking, do it alone. So agreed. Also, like, in this town, like, that's kind of weird. Most people, it's a lot more personal, too. Yeah, I agree completely. They absolutely can. And if her phone was on, or if any of their phone was on, and they have the passcode, they can just go into their Telegram, and they can just go to send user data. They can download all the history and the data from a person's encrypted apps, as long as the phone is open and on and the app is downloaded. If they delete the app, burn the data, delete the data, and do a Stephen Stearns with it and try to reboot the phone, they could fuck some shit up, make it more difficult. If they have an Apple phone, they're gonna have to get a search warrant, which means they're gonna have to get probable cause, which they kind of fuck that up if they don't investigate it thoroughly right away. They're gonna need probable cause. I would say, personally, I think those text messages are probable cause, right? Witness statements could be probable cause. So them turning away the mother and not like taking that shit seriously, they're turning away potential probable cause. That's fucked. That's so Austin of them. I think that if people are as loud as they can be about this, as they are like with the young girl, Anna on Kepner on the ship, Celeste Rivas, as long as people are all talking about this and putting pressure on it, hell, Karen Reed, I think that maybe police might get off their ass and do something, because they're already kind of embroiled in a lot of shit right now. They desperately want funding. And I mean, really just, this is a school, right? They want parents to want to send their kids here. So if they really want to do what's best for the students and their student safety, they need to fucking get on it, because this looks fucking bad. And honestly, like, it's insane to me that how are they sure that she jumped? If they're saying fell, then how is that a suicide? If they're saying jumped, how are they sure? Tell the family that. They don't have to tell the world. It's not our business, but tell the fucking family. It's disgusting. How many of us think that the young lady with stab wounds to the back of her neck was a suicide? Oh, Ellen Greenberg? Yeah. And you know what? People are comparing this to Ellen Greenberg, and I'm inclined to believe it too, especially if she's fighting with someone. I mean, let's say she's fighting with someone and then that girl and her go at it. Okay, here's another thing. Everybody in the party is saying we lost sight of her, apparently. We didn't see her. Okay, then how do we know she jumped? Also, if you didn't see her, did you notice anyone else you didn't see that perhaps could have been out there with her? I mean, it's a party. There's a lot of people, right? So was there any chance where she was alone with someone that you also didn't see? Like, I don't know. Statistically speaking, women are more likely to take substances, take their life. That's true. That's absolutely true. I appreciate you. Dude, I'll fucking send this to other people. Are you local? Because I am too. And I know that I used to live right there. Like, before that building was there. And I can tell you, there were so many people that, like, until 2 to 3 a.m., between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. West Campus on a fucking game night, there were times I wouldn't even go home. Like, I'd hang out late after work so I could avoid it. Yeah, why would you say jump and not fall? And then some of them say fall and not jump, but then say fall and then say suicide. That's what I don't get. How is it a suicide and a fall? That makes no fucking sense. Well, how is it a jump, but you're giving no reason for that? Why would you call it a Yeah, I think so too. I do think it's kind of normal for the girl whoever the girl is who lived there, who moved out. I can see wanting to move out, especially if you were friends with her. and you don't know what, like, that's sad. That sucks. But like, it's also sus that like the police didn't bring them in for questioning. Like, how did they not bring them in for questioning? It makes no sense. Yeah, no way she jumped. I don't think she did either, dude. If you're scared of heights, you don't do that. That's all I need to know. The second they said she's scared of heights, I'm like, she didn't fucking jump. Is it true? And also claimed they didn't know her whereabouts. No, the police, well, the media reported it. The police said, let me look at the exact statement. So some of the media has reported, and it's odd. Well, I'm not going to get into politics, but some of the media has reported that police said she jumped. And then others said, you know, an incident happened. She passed away. It was real fluffy language. From what I read, the party goers all said that they didn't see her, but the police are saying she jumped. So were there no witnesses? Like, I just don't understand how they know. It would have had to have been, unless they have video footage of it happening. I don't know how they would know that without witnesses. Yeah, I would never. I'm terrified of heights. I would never do that. I would never do that. Yeah, our poor fucking family. It's so sad. Yeah, she could have been. That's true. She could have been posing. I was telling them earlier, she could have been trying to take a selfie. What if she's trying to take a selfie? And then other people were saying people do cake stands on their balconies. Okay, well, that's fucking crazy. But depending on how she fell, also changes things. If she fell on her face, okay, that could be someone jumping. She fell on her back, more inclined to be pushing, but you got to look at the projectile. Like, it's a lot of math and it's kind of morbid, but there's professionals for that. Did they take the time to do that? I hope they don't let this go. I just really worry about it because of fucking racism. Let's just be honest. Like, it's crazy because I grew up in San Antonio and it's a majority Hispanic, but it's crazy how people don't like look out for the Hispanic culture. If anything, they're gonna fucking try to cover it up, just like they do the 300 bodies they can't identify at the fucking border, or they're gonna ignore it. And a lot of people, again, are gonna want to put it on football, but I really think that this is like incompetence from APD, stupidity. And I worry, I hope not racism, but like seriously, like the whole Gabby Petito thing is real. Like, blonde-haired girls get a lot more fucking exposure, and it's not fair, and it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't think they'll forget. We're not gonna fucking let them forget. I'm gonna fucking go outside of APD headquarters and yell. I'm gonna call someone. I'm actually probably gonna call my good investigator later and ask him questions like, how would I? The trick is with them is you have to you gotta ask them how you have to pose a hypothetical or ask how, man, you guys have top-notch high-tech shit. How would you go about blah 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 investigating this and that? Gotta schmooze them a little. I'm gonna try to do that. I'm gonna find out like how would you know? Do you guys have a do you guys have any of the people who come out and do the trajectory tests on buildings like that? How do you do that? Do you clear the sidewalk for a day? Like, because think about it, they would have to. How else? It's strange. Oh, girl, I will talk to you later, military mom. Commentator said, should have stayed in Mexico. She was born in Laredo. Fucking, my family I have family in Laredo. My fucking uncle used to be a city councilman there. Laredo is beautiful. Laredo is gorgeous. Texas A&M International University is a great university. It's where they like, what was it? I think it was the North Atlantic Free Trade Agreement. They like helped draft it there with professors. Like, Laredo's gorgeous. It's got a fuckload of palm trees. It's beautiful. It is hot, but like, it's kind of, it used to be low violence when I would go over there. Yeah, that's possible. Could have slipped something in her drink. She could have got nauseous. Also, I do wonder, like, was she perhaps like passed out or something, you know, out there, and then woke up and then had to puke and was like leaning up. I don't know. Like, it's so weird. Like, you can see in the picture how high the balcony edge is. Like, you should have to climb up it. And that's another thing is we got to hope these kids don't lawyer up thinking they're trying to be pigeonholed when really, like, they could just be honest. And if they were honest, good. But, like, just an interview in the station alone would be nice. Like, what the fuck? She not deserving of an interview? That's crazy. This is a very Karen Reed-esque investigation. I hope so too. I hope the mom has full access to that, right, in the cloud. She needs to download everything on that girl's phone. She needs to go to the settings and then request user data on every single app she has, including Telegram and Snapchat, especially, and Discord. Because teens have all that now, and TikTok, like literally all of it, especially Snap and Telegram, anything that she uses. Shit, even WhatsApp, she can download under user settings. She can go to download user data. And everything she's deleted or anything done in the past, any friend added, any text she'll have. If the police do it, they have to apply to get a warrant, which means they need probable cause. The mom can do it on her own and tip it in. And if the police don't do anything with it or don't take it seriously, she can go to the press with it. That's what I would do if I were mamas. I just hope her family's okay. This is so sad. It's right before Christmas when Haruka Weiser was murdered. They made a huge fucking deal out of it. And I mean, it felt a lot more professional and urgent. And they seem to be investigating this one, and I don't like it. So I will be snooping around. I might be driving up there to 21 Rio and kind of driving by so you can see the atmosphere of it all. And kind of, we can maybe look at the probability by looking up and seeing, like, I mean, I feel like she would have really had to, like, push out or have someone really push her. It's just so far out there but it also, it's just a lot. There's like all these canopies too at the bottom, and she didn't fall through those. So that's odd. All right. Well, we'll come back to this in the future. I have to go, you guys. Thank you so much for being here today with me. I appreciate you, and I find you to be very cool, and I love you all. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play for you. Let me just put this on. Hold on. Okay, we're going to watch a little bit of this because I promised you guys would show you what's going on with Taylor Shabusiness. All right, she's still making faces at her attorneys. I'm not going to make you watch too much court TV, okay? Texas Rangers will likely take part in it, yes, especially if there's any phone extraction. But also, well, here's the thing. If it's a homicide, yes. So, or if there's foul play, yes. If not, possibly not. But an ex-Texas Ranger could take it on as a PI and extract the same data and probably send it off to his buddies if he needed to. So that's a potential thing that could happen. All right. We're going to watch a little bit of Taylor Shabusiness, see what's going on with her, and I will bid you all adieu.
In Green Bay. Then she went to live with her grandparents and went to high school at Catula High School in Texas from January of 2015 to June of 2016.
Hold the fuck up. Taylor Shabusiness went to high school in Catula? I used to go get barbecue there. That's on the way to Laredo. What? Dude. That's why she could fight. God, she scares me. Oh. We'll hear the coroner fights with the police and the ME. It's kind of fucked up. Texas is weird. It's kind of a game of hot potato here. And true, absolutely true. Public pressure. I'm going to send it to Wayne Allen Brenner and see what they think about it. See if the Chronicle will do something with it. I'm going to be snooping and sneaking. We'll be paying attention to this. I'll send this to some people. God, Taylor's so wild.
16 and she graduated. She excelled in science. She liked economics. She liked physical education, social studies. She's had different jobs in the past, notably Saputo Cheese from 2017 to 2020. I know that she told me that she was certified as a forklift driver, and she would work. She worked in the sanitation department for some different companies. Obviously, at this time, she's serving out a life sentence at Tachita Correctional Institution. Now that she's off of drugs, I think that she's able to think a lot more clearly. I think she's sober, and I think she's able to maybe possibly participate in some programming. I think she's a dual diagnosis person, Your Honor. I think she's got some severe mental health issues, and she's got some severe AODA issues or drug addiction issues, and she could benefit from some treatment. I believe that she's been in custody since February 22nd of 2022. She's had a lot of time here to be sober, be drug-free, be free from the grips of meth. I know that she's got a lot of family in Texas and Ohio that care about her. And I think my client does want to become a better person. Certainly, whatever happened here at the correctional facility was difficult, was inappropriate on her part. But July 24th, 2024, she asked for access to care because of a staple in her arm. I don't know how that happened, how that got there. And then a nurse came in, and she was told that she had to get up on the table in the medical room. And then at some point, the tray was grabbed. My client was then pushed to the floor. She told me that she had OC spray in her face. But regardless of what happened here, I think my client realizes that she could have avoided this, and she should have handled things a lot more differently. But this lady she's been through a lot in her life. I know that she struggles with the loss of her mom, Marla, who passed away in 2009. And she had a brother, Arturo J. Coronado, AJ. He died in a motorcycle accident, I think in July of 2022. So, and I looked at all kinds of other records from the prior case and from this case. I think my client does have some depression issues, some other mental health issues that, she needs a professional to help her work through. I think she needs some treatment. I think she's got maybe some PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't think she's a throwaway. I think she's someone who needs some attention. And I know that I think counseling can help her over.
What the fuck? Guys, I think Taylor Business broke StreamYard. She made one smirk and everything went black. Well, I guess I'm out of here. What?